Hello and welcome to episode number 11 of Just Shillin'. I am one of your hosts, Sean Hoffman.
And I'm one of your hosts, Andy Bell.
You can find more information about us and everything related to us at our website, justshillin.com. If you have feedback or thoughts or emails you want to send in, you can send them over to us via our email at feedback@justshillin.com. If you have feedback for Andy specifically, you can send a self-addressed and stamped envelope to Andy's address, which I don't have on hand, and he will surely get back to you on that. But other than that, you can find everything at our website. With that, how's it going, Andy? What's new with you? How's your week?
I will respond to your mail likewise with quill and ink and respond to you and use a carrier pigeon to reply accordingly. I'm good, thank you, my friend. Very good indeed. Been a very lazy week. It was a very long weekend, so 4 out of 7 since the last time we spoke was very much taken up with enjoying time with the family. Over the Easter weekend, and I think I said last week that in the UK we take off the Friday and the Monday of the Easter period. So
Nice.
that was nice. The girls came back, which was awesome, and we did pretty much of a rinse and repeat of the previous couple of weeks prior to that, whereby we ate all the wrong food, we drank all the wrong drink, and ate lots and lots of Easter egg chocolate, which was a lot of fun.
Ooh,
But
nice.
it was extremely it was good fun. And we broke out the board games again, which was always nice. And actually, we're on a bit of a winning streak with board games, because it used to be that we could only play for the first 10 minutes before it turns into a family argument. And I have to say, in recent years, we've actually getting quite good at completing an entire game without actually board pieces being thrown or chucked about the house in frustration. One game I do recommend, just going off at a tangent. You ever heard of Outsmarted? Outsmarted is a board game.
I have not. I don't believe I have.
It's really dead simple. If you think of Trivial Pursuit, it's pretty much Trivial Pursuit, the same kind of format, whereby you have to answer um, 6 different category questions to get 6 different um, uh, um, pieces to your score sheet. At which point, the person that gets the all 6 questions right and the final questions wins the game. But it's app based, so you do have a board which you make your way around with a piece. But the actual questions are all app based. And the good thing about that is that it's current. It's always up to date. It's always current. So your general
Nice.
knowledge and current affairs and so on and so forth, you don't have to worry about it. And what's most important, and what I like about it the most, is that you can buy modules, so you can change up the questions. So you'll have different colored questions, but you can change a category to be a different color, or you can buy new colors, or sorry, buy new categories in. So they may well have the girls, for example, at the weekend bought a set of questions for Harry Potter. They've got one there for Star Wars. So one of the existing categories will be swapped out with anything new that you put in. And it's very, very flexible, and you can basically change the dynamic of the game depending on who's playing. So as a family, we're pretty much on the same level in many, many ways. But when Lucy's mother and father, when my in-laws came over at the weekend, we had to really, really think about maybe um, mediating the kind of questions that they were being asked, because of the age gap between themselves and
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and, and the younger generation. And it's really, really easy to do, and it's just it's good fun, and it's really simple, and the answer is the answer, and there's no arguments. It was a lot of fun. um Outside of
On
that,
that note,
sorry.
that's actually really interesting. I pulled it up. I think it's really cool. And what sounds like it's neat about it is that it a lot of those kind of party games really struggle with the
Mm,
idea of the different audiences. And I think the only other ones that I've ever had that have done well with that is a game called Codenames.
mhm.
So you don't get like too used to it. Like the owners of the game aren't like amazing at it. Like it's all depends on who your crowd is.
Mhm.
And also, final note. if you do miss fighting with your family, you should look into Space Team. It's a cooperative game you play on your phones where you're all like people on a spaceship, uh, and things to start falling apart, and you've got to like cooperate with each other, but like nothing has like real names, so you have to like say all this
Right.
goofy stuff and like basically scream at each other and have a big fight to like cooperatively fix your spaceship. That's a
Right.
good one. I highly
Right.
recommend if you ever miss fighting with your family.
No, I don't. It's actually quite pleasant when we don't
Oh,
fight. It's actually quite nice. I've
fair
missed
enough.
it so much. But that's outsmarted. I keep misnaming it outnumbered, but it's not. It's outsmarted is the game that I'm talking about. I do recommend it. Good fun. In fact,
Nice.
we played it over Christmas at a friend's house. They actually had a they had the they'd bought the game themselves, and off the back of us playing with them, we bought it for ourselves to play with the kids. So that was good fun. As I said, there's only other outside of the weekend. There's only really been 3 other days, and it's been very, very, heads down, typical work. But one thing that I wanted to do was to give a shout out to our friend Kev, who's very poorly at the
Yes.
moment and currently in hospital, getting better, which is great, and he will be out of hospital, God willing, very, very soon, if not in the next 24 hours or so. But I just wanted to acknowledge that he has been poorly the last couple of days and that we're thinking of him and we wish him all the best.
Get well soon, buddy. Please.
And then lastly, I've got some exciting plans coming up. So, yeah, myself and a couple of the Scruffy, well, the UK contingency of the contingent, sorry, of the Scruffies, we like to, or they allow me to join them in their vintage toy fair hunting. And if everything works out okay, and Kev is out of hospital, we're looking forward to going to a vintage toy fair this weekend, approaching at the end of this week. So hopefully that will that's something for us all to look forward to. So yes, haven't done an awful lot, but hopefully some fun times ahead. And yeah, what about yourself? How's your week been?
My week has been pretty uneventful. Um, Similar to what you were saying. Like we didn't get Friday and Monday off, but it's it's almost like things have been in slow motion though
Mm,
since like it's the last couple weeks just kind of keep feeling like there's like this weird like lull, but especially this last week it's just been kind of like almost like I'm really tired, but that's not really what it is. It's just there's just this vibe around everything where things seem to be really slow and
mm,
just I don't know if I'm waiting for the hammer to drop or what or what it is, but it's just been pretty uneventful. We've been ever since the announcement of Celebration. We've Madison and I have been kind of digging in, getting doing research into the hotels and things like that. Um, nothing concrete yet because we're still a ways out, but just digging into all that because there hasn't been a full confirmation that there's going to be a hotel lottery or anything like that. So we're just trying to be prepared um,
mm,
for when it gets closer to time. Madison's dad and brother are actually going to come out and visit next week, so that's exciting. We're
hmm
kind of in that weird period of like, is it going to keep snowing or is it just going to magically be spring tomorrow? So we'll see how it goes. We may be skiing and snowmobiling, or we may be out on the water. Who knows? Or hard telling, depending on what the weather gives us. So there's that. That's kind of exciting to look forward to. I've also been digging into working on that my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle model.
Oh yeah.
Uh, been working on him. I'm not a big figure painter. I'll make sure I won't keep I'll keep the modeling stuff short this week. Uh, but I'm not I'm a figure painter, so this is like really out of my comfort zone, and I've been just kind of experimenting with it. Um, Trying not to obsess on it too hard like I normally do. I'm just trying to like do things and then move, keep it moving as like a little exercise. So that's been fun. Been working on that each night. Hoping to have that done very very soon. I did just remember that I did buy something. Um, I made the mistake of getting on eBay and was looking at different things. Um, and because I don't get on eBay a lot because I think it's full of a lot of times the stuff I want are 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 being sold by people who know what they have, and they're just listing it for absurd prices, and then if it doesn't sell
Yeah,
they'll just keep relisting it. But every once in a while you find that item where it's like, okay, maybe it's a little bit more than it was originally sold for, but it's not like, but it's maybe limited, and it's worth it. Like every once in a
yeah,
while you'll see one of those like slip through where it's like maybe not being sold by choice name kind of individual.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I did manage to get something. I It was a Micro Galaxy Squadron
I was going to
chase
ask.
chase vehicle. Here, let me grab it so you can see it. Um, I don't normally go for the chase vehicles because I think because they're usually absurdly priced on the internet, like
Yeah.
500, 600, $700. But I did manage to get this. It is the Luke Skywalker's X-wing hologram version.
Oh,
So
I
it's
like
like a
that.
hologram.
Oh, I like
So it's
that.
like translucent blue with the little figures R2D2 and Luke of an
Yeah, I
X-wing
like that.
that like
I
moves and
like
poses,
that.
and it's like, oh, I like that. So I got it for an
See,
extremely reasonable price. I love it.
I'm because I'm not collecting like the Black Series stuff and much of anything these days. I
Yeah,
like
no,
the odds.
you don't have any collection behind you at all. It's very
No, no, no,
minimal.
no, 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 no. But that hasn't moved on in years. I mean, that hasn't
Yeah,
really.
yeah,
I mean, apart from a couple of uh, odd bits and pieces here and there, that really hasn't moved in quite a few years. But what I tend to buy now, I mean, you can see the holiday and the Halloween stuff down at the bottom there. I don't know if you can see those,
yeah, yeah.
but it's those odd things that are quite quirky, and in any other time, I wouldn't have entertained at all because I was, if you like, collecting the main body or the important stuff or the main stuff, the serious stuff within a particular collection. But I like picking up those little fun pieces at the moment because I'm not going for the main range or the main portfolio of collectibles. So, for example, they're doing the holographic versions of the Black Series at the moment, which I'm seeing getting an awful lot of flack actually,
Yeah.
because it deviates so much from the main line. I actually quite like them. I haven't bought them, but I actually quite like
Yeah.
them because they do have a little light up bulby thing under or a platform that the figure stands on, and to actually you can shoot light up through it, and I think that's kind of quite
Yeah.
cool. And when there's one that I actually want, I may well jump in and partake. But I do like what you've got there. I like that. It's quirky.
Yeah. And like that reminds me of like it makes me really happy that you are a fellow uh oddball thing
Yeah,
consumer of
yeah, yeah, yeah.
things. Like because I know like those are some of the most recent Black Series. I haven't bought Black Series in a long time, but I do have a couple of the Halloween droids or like the Christmas holiday
Yeah, yeah.
stormtroopers, like the goofy paint jobs. It's like, and like I hear people that's like, oh, they're just dumb repaints and whatever. It's like, I don't know. I think they're kind of cool. Like I think they're fun limited run stuff that comes out. I could pull them out at certain times a year and set them up like little decorations, and it's neat. Yes, they're not some like the tertiary characters that we'd still like to see and whatever. But I don't know. I like it. I like the quirky stuff as well. Like I like
Well, for me,
the
they're harmless.
hologram ship, and yeah, it
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
hurt
I mean,
anything.
for me, they're harmless. I mean, if I was to, I can't poo poo them because, quite frankly, I don't have the what it takes to commit to the main line.
Yeah,
I can't do that. I would be. I'm such a I'm such a creature of habit that I would need to get them all, and that would not be healthy for me. So the occasional stuff that, oh, it's Christmas time and there's a Christmas toy there. It's like, yay, that'll come out at Christmas. I'll get that. I don't mind that at all. That's it. I think it's quite funny.
well, I think it keeps me away from being like a completionist because I could see
Yeah,
myself slipping
yeah, yeah,
dangerously down that path as
yeah.
well. And when I start like in the past when I've gone down that path a little bit, like I've never gone very far, but it's like when I feel myself kind of going that direction of like
Mm.
being well, I gotta collect them all. Then it's like it kind of loses something for me personally. It's like it's
Yeah.
not something I look at and think of like, oh, I really like that character or this item. It's like, oh, you almost look at the opposite of like, well, what do I still need instead
Yeah,
of what do I have?
yeah, there's nothing to covet anymore. You're absolutely right. Yeah. I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
And I also and there's a part of me that also knows that when I do get all of them, then the empty void that lives inside of me will be like, okay, then what's next? So
Yeah.
if I just never get there, then that
Yeah,
void is staved off for a while. So
exactly.
now I just have bits and bobs of all sorts of goofy stuff. Um, and yeah, good things. But yeah, that's kind of all I've got going on. Do we have any I mean, it seems like it's been a pretty slow news week, but I think you've got a
Ye
couple items at least.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that I mean, again, I mean, for very light on news this week, and it may well be in testament to me being offline, shall we say, for well over half of the week. But one thing I did pick up in Variety was that Godzilla X Kong had an amazing opening weekend, from what I understand, over 80 million, which
Woo!
surpassed even surpassed even the studio's expectations and aspirations for that weekend. So that's I'm really pleased for that, and I'm really pleased for Lucy because she loves her monster movies, as you know. So anything like Godzilla, Kong, the Meg, anything like that, she's well up for it. So we've got plans this weekend coming up to check it out. So
Nice.
I'm very very excited about that, and anything that's a bit of fun that does well, I think is it brings a smile to my face. And then more sadder news, there are two very very prominent actors that we have to say goodbye to this week. The amazing Louis Gossett Jr. Um, certainly very prolific in um, my younger years. Initially, obviously, his winning performance, I think it was Optional Gentleman with Richard Gere. He won the Best Supporting Actor um, Oscar for his portrayal of the drill sergeant. But in more of the genre of film that I enjoy, uh, he of course was a big part of Iron Eagle when I was a kid. Again, around that time where Top Gun and um, uh, high octane adrenaline fuel pumped action movies, especially in planes, were a big thing. He was very prolific in that. And then, of course, Chance Perdomo. I think it's Perdomo. It's how you pronounce it. A very, very young actor in his late 20s, I
Hmm.
believe. I think he was only 29. He was in a motorbike accident last week. And Chance was not an actor that I followed per se very closely, but I do remember his amazing performance. In fact, all the kids' amazing performance in Gen V, the spin-off series from The Boys, and Chance was in that. You'll remember him as being quite high up in the league table of the kids that were training to be superheroes, and that's really sad, really really sad for a young life and a young talent like that to be snuffed out so quickly. So that was, should we say, the downside of the news that I picked up this week. What about yourself? Did you pick up on anything?
I'm just shocked. He was 27. He's another member of the
27.
27 club.
Wow. Holy crap.
Dang.
Shit.
Just getting started. It's
Yeah.
never fun. It's never good. Uh, whew. For me, not a lot. Like I mean, not nothing really.
Mm.
It's not even news, but I think we kind of mentioned. I kind of mentioned it at the beginning before we started recording. It's not even news. It was just kind of like a realization this morning of like getting excited about upcoming content and kind of realizing that the Acolyte's only 8 episodes. And it's like,
Mhm.
wow, it's like I knew it. I'd heard it. It kind of went in one ear and then kind of just right back out the other side.
Mm.
Um, and I just like, oh man, I feel like it's gonna be here and gone. And so just trying to get myself in the mental headspace of like being happy with what we're getting right now. Cause like at times it feels like it's slow, like with
Mm.
but I think about it, it's like, oh, I'm getting X-Men, I'm getting Shogun, I'm getting Bad Batch, I'm getting all these other things that are really good. But it's like, man, we're we're eating well right now.
Yeah,
And before we know it, it could be it's gonna be it's gonna be drying up again. And so just trying to really kind of keep that mind, that headspace of really not trying to blaze through the content. I think that's my where I'm kind of going with this is
yeah.
not rushing through it. Because I don't know if you've ever done this, but like there's times where like I'll get a new podcast from one of the people we listen to,
Hmm.
and I'm so excited to listen to it. I'll listen to it, then I'm just like, well, damn, like now I gotta like wait a week or however long to get more.
Hmm.
It's like I gotta stop rushing through content,
Yeah.
um,
Well,
because
I've got an
it's
example of that when we talk about what we watched on TV. I've got another example of that this week. But yeah, I know I'm with you. I mean, look, I mean, thank goodness you and I can talk about a lot more than just Star Wars. But
yeah,
I do get what you're talking about. And we are eating well at the moment when we consider the universe beyond Star Wars. There's a heck of a lot out there, and there's so much
yeah.
that I haven't caught up on. There's so much that I missed even during lockdown that I still keep meaning to watch. I mean, you introduced me just to Severance, for goodness
Mhm,
sakes. I mean, how old is that now? It's a 2-year-old show, 3-year-old show. I mean, it's there's so much I need to catch up on, and it's still I mean, if you look at my lists in Prime, Netflix, um, Disney Plus, and Amazon. I mean, it's huge. It's huge.
mhm,
So we will keep talking. We will keep
mhm,
talking, and we will keep getting excited about the kind of content that fires us up and gets us excited. Um, we are going to be limited on Star Wars for a while. Um, I think you and I covered it before we pressed record. We are getting now the content, which was the last content prior to the strike, that had been that that was in the can. Hence the reason why I believe it's been spread out strategically across the year, and Andor very much postponed until what looks like early next year now, so that we can. It will give the studio the opportunity to catch up on content and all that lost downtime. But we talked about this very, very early. If it wasn't episode one, it was close to episode one, where we are. It may feel quiet now, but that's because, as I said, the content's been spread out, um, to keep the pilot light on, as it were.
mhm,
It's very much a tactical play, whereas really they would have liked to have had you know hit series after hit series, basically in sequence, one after the other. But that's not
mhm.
realistic at the moment. And then hopefully in this quieter time, albeit we do have content, that will allow them to catch up so that they can resume, if you like, service as normal or business as usual from the middle of next year onwards. Let's hope. Let's hope. But if you consider Disney being only one of many, many different studios, um, I don't think we've got to the quietest we're going to get yet. I think there's
Yeah.
still I think there's some time, probably later on this year, where it gets even more quiet when it comes down
Mhm.
to content. Um, Hence the reason why I'm so very grateful that I've got you as a friend, and we can talk about many, many diverse and different types of subjects that don't rely on necessarily real time content coming out when we need it.
Yeah. But other than
But
that, I
yes,
mean,
mate.
I don't have any news. That's all I have. I mean,
I
I
was
don't know
going
if
to
I've
ask you
just
a
been
question.
disconnected or what, but
No, I was gonna ask you a question actually because you know a little bit more about. So tell me about the result of the Disney meeting, the share,
oh yeah.
the board meeting.
I wrote it down, but then I just like kept looking at him like there's nothing, there's no news, even though I wrote it down 20 minutes ago. Um, so the kind of the high level is there's been a Disney investor meeting and vote. Some board seats kind of came up for um two available seats, and there's been some activist investors trying kind of pushing to try to get these two seats on the Disney board. Um, I don't know if you've seen it, but I've been getting it nonstop on social media for the last couple of weeks. Just kind of the campaigning again, like for and against this, trying to bring about change within the Disney company from kind of the board level. A lot of kind of pushing, saying that Disney's lost its way, bring the magic, blah 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 blah. The news is that the vote was this morning, and those activist investors lost their bid for those seats, so they will not be joining the board. Um, I won't go too much into the political side
Hmm.
of some of the background of some of this. Um, I think some of the marketing on both sides was a little disingenuous. I'm happy with the results that kind of came through. I'll be clear on that. Um, if you're not happy with it, I would I would do more digging
Mm.
into some of the background of what was maybe really going on here and what some of the pushes were. But the news is that the activist investors were not able to get the board seats that they were hoping for to bring about the changes that they were hoping to see
Got
within
it.
the Disney company.
I did see an awful lot of turmoil going on social media, but I must admit I'm not close enough to it, and I there's life's hard enough as it is. I tend not to. I tend not to. I tend not to spend much time reading about it or thinking about it. I mean, it's there's power plays in every big corporation. I I work for a large organization. The idea of I can't think of anything I'd least like to do than actually reading about another corporation that's going through its own board struggles at the moment. So yeah, no, but that's a good summary. Thank you very much, and it's
It's
great.
like
It's great context as well
it's
because
interesting as an
I saw it.
outsider. Watch, yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, I mean I saw all the stuff, but it was like do I really want to go down this rabbit hole? No, I really don't. So
So it's
thank
kind
you
of
very
like
much.
when Silicon Valley was really popular on television, and everybody's like, "Oh,
Yeah,
you should watch it." It's like I don't want to watch it. If this is real life
yeah.
for me,
This
I
is
don't
real life
want
for me. Yeah,
I don't want to come home from work and then see the same cringy stuff that I have to deal with on a day to day basis. No, no, thank you.
yeah.
Like that's not fun. But yeah,
Cool. Shall I tell you about what I've been watching? Not a
yeah,
lot.
I think that's a good.
Not a
I think
lot.
that's a good idea. I like that idea. Yeah,
Not a lot because, as I said, we've had the girls with us this weekend, and we've been spending a lot of us, social time and interacting rather than stuck behind a TV. Despite that, we did take advantage of the long weekend, as I kind of suggested last week when we spoke, and we went out to go see Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire, and I had a blast. I absolutely loved it. I honestly loved it, and I you've warned me that, you know, some of it may feel a certain way. You, um, made me you opened my eyes that there were folk out there that didn't perhaps like it. And I went in probably with very, very low should we say low to middling expectations, and I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it was really, really good.
yeah,
Exactly what I wanted from a
nice.
Ghostbusters film. It wasn't complicated. It really wasn't complicated. I understood it. Yeah, there were a million and one people there, but quite frankly, that was all right. That was actually okay. I mean, the only thing that I probably would have been I'll pick up on is uh, I guess the only thing if there was one criticism, it would be I don't think they needed Bill Murray in the film because I don't think he wants to be there. If I'm perfectly honest with you,
No, I don't think
he
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 does
did.
either.
He did, it didn't feel the other two fellas were having such a giggle, were having such a laugh, and not taking themselves too seriously. Whereas Bill, I don't know whether it. I mean, I'm a lot older than I'm a lot older these days than I was. Well, that goes without saying, but you know what I mean. Um, it an old guy looking cool and disinterested just looks like an old guy looking bored. Do you understand what I
Oh, I
mean?
think
His
oh,
his
absolutely. And I think
character his character back in
there's
the
an
'80s
element
was sorry.
there's an element of it too that it's like I don't know if it's him that knows it or if it's just everybody involved where it's like his character doesn't age well.
No,
Like the
that's
character
my
that he
point.
was back in those original movies is like you can't have him be that same way
No,
now. It's like
no,
that will
no,
not be good.
no.
So it's like what do you kind of have him do? It's like we have 14 other comic reliefs. So
And that's exactly
yeah,
my point.
he doesn't need to be in
That's
it.
that's exactly my point. You know, me, an old man trying to be cool and smoldering and too cool for school. It's not a good look. Like I said, you just look old and bored. Um,
Yeah.
and that's exactly my point. But again, as always, you put it a lot more succinctly than I did. Anyway, um, but apart from that, really enjoyed it. Really, really enjoyed it. Honestly, I thought it was hilarious, and I think that the lady that plays Phoebes is amazing.
Yeah.
I think that the kids did an amazing job. The story was great. Um, I mean, yeah, they're completely rinsing the whole marshmallow, baby marshmallow man joke, but I'm here for it. I think it's great. Um, and yeah, I mean, here's the future. I hope that they do more and more and more. And I love the way that they've turned it into spoilers. They've turned it into almost like a proper business now, which
Yeah.
can mean a multitude of things. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be restricted to the confines of the old fire station. It's not restricted to the confines of the fire station. It's all part of this, this larger corporation now that's been built. And we can start seeing more and more Ghostbusters come in and out over the years ahead. It's almost like something that can take its own. It can grow organically itself and not have to rely on the old cast anymore, which I really really like. I really really like that. But
It's like
yeah,
the
really enjoyed
MCU
that.
with a sword and shield where it's like, oh, we have these superheroes, but now there's this whole like business and like organization who are making cool new
Yeah,
technologies and things like that. It's
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
whoa, it's like a whole huge thing now too.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I guess because I'm not I'm not a Ghostbusters aficionado, but I was in the cinema back in the 80s when they first came out, so I've always enjoyed them. And I guess because I don't take them too seriously, I can see some really, really great stuff going on with this franchise. I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Um, back behind this the small screen. Um, there was one ask that Abby had over the weekend. Um, she said, "Can we watch a film?" Yes. What do you want to watch? So Abby's favorite film is Gladiator, the Ridley Scott Gladiator. Of which, by the way, she told me that Gladiator 2 is being filmed as we speak, and it should
Hmm.
be out next
Yep.
year, which is exciting, very exciting. Anyway, Gladiator. I mean, don't ask me why. For all the fantasticals and other stuff that she likes, her favorite film of all time is Gladiator. So we sat down and watched that, and God, that ages well. That film, it ages
It's a good
extraordinarily
movie.
well, and I hadn't seen it for years. I hadn't seen it for absolutely years, and so we sat down and watched that as a film, and uh, started shouting and screaming at all of the exciting moments and crying our eyes out at all the sad moments. So it had the desired effect. Started watching because we burned through a series last week, as you know, because because we got hooked on Severance quite quickly. Well, we burned through another series on Monday because we had the day off on Monday, and the weather here was absolutely miserable for that one day of the entire weekend. We sat and started watching Ted the TV series. Now, it's Ted the TV series was something I didn't even know existed because we don't have Peacock over here in the UK, but you can get it through. Who should we get it through? Sky. One of the satellite TV providers in the UK. Anyway, TED TV series is brilliant. It's really, really good. It's really, really good. If you like the films with Mark Wahlberg,
Hmm.
um, you'll like these films. You like the premise behind it is it's 10 years before Mark Wahlberg. So Ted and I forgot his name now. John. Ted and Johnny are still best of friends. Well, they are best of friends, but Johnny's at school, so he's in his he's in high school and he's going through all of the the trials and tribulations of what it is to be a high school student. And he's quite quirky, he's quite dorky, he's quite silly, and he's a stoner with his best mate, who is a 2 foot tall teddy bear, and it's quite weird getting used to it. The first couple of episodes, I'm thinking to myself, "Do I like this? Do I like this? Do I like? I don't know." By the end of the season, by the end of, should we say, episode 3 or 4, it was like, let's just keep going because we're having a riot. And the four of us watched it, and with four of us really, really enjoyed it. So it's one of those recommendations from me that really came out of nowhere. This came out of nowhere for me. Wasn't expecting to like it so much. Like I said, didn't even know it existed until this weekend. It was good fun. Which means that we have to find yet another series because we've already burned through that one. So we're now started The Gentleman. The Gentleman is on, I believe it's Netflix, and it is a TV adaptation of the Gentleman film from, oh God, come on, Madonna's ex-husband, Guy Ritchie. Guy Ritchie.
Guy Ritchie. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the TV production of that film, but it's nothing like it. It's a completely different story. The similarity is that it's based in, it's focused on, if you like, crime within the British aristocracy. But that's where it starts and ends. It's got it really is a totally different story, and it's really, really good. We're only three episodes in because we are trying to slow down and enjoy it like a glass of red wine and sip, not gulp. But so far so good, mate, and it's really, really good fun, and it's done extraordinarily well. And there's a few usual suspects there, like Vinnie Jones. There's a few folk that Guy has used before in his previous films, Lock, Stock, Snatch, those kind of films. If you enjoy that kind of British thug life or British gang,
Do you like Dags?
criminal, yeah. Do you like Dags? Um, um, yeah, British crime kind of dramas that he's so good at doing. But it's really, really good fun. Like I said, really, really good fun. And I do thoroughly recommend that. Still watching Shogun like yourself. Still watching Dick Turpin. Still watching Scrubs. Still watching Battlestar Galactica reboot. Nothing to report back on those, apart from I'd suggest one that you and I, very close to my heart, is Shogun.
Yeah, I don't know if we've
Was it
talked about that before, but that show is so freaking good.
ep-
So good.
was yesterday episode 7? I think it was episode 7, wasn't it? So we really are
Something. It was
cracking on. Good God, they've got
so
to do
good.
a season 2 of this.
So
They have,
good.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it is stunning. It is absolutely stunning. And yesterday's the latest episode, which cracked open yesterday. Yeah, more of the same, more of that, please. It was absolutely beautiful. It's getting deeper and deeper, and you get to see um, the character development happening from understanding the background and the childhood of people and how they were
I
brought
just want to
up
give
and
everybody a
how they
hug. I
became
just want to come
successful.
up and be like,
Yeah, I
"Mm,"
know. I know. There's a lot of stress, isn't there? A heck of a lot of
like
stress,
it'll be
but
all right. It
really,
probably
really
won't,
good
but it
stuff.
might. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But
That ending. I'm not
again,
going to talk about it, but that ending though. Oh my god.
yeah, 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 man. All I would say is that the main guy. Oh God, what's his name? The
Toranaga or
main.
the
Yeah. Do you think he's got a plan? I do,
I think
and
so.
I think the lady that runs the tea house knows exactly what she was talking about.
I think she was insinuating things and I think that made him I don't think he did have a plan. And I think that conversation with her
Mm,
helped him come up with one. But I do think the ending of the episode is now going to amplify whatever that plan may be.
mm.
Because I don't think he's going to be thrilled about that.
No.
I don't think anybody would be in that situation, but I think it's not gonna be go well for
No.
people involved.
Agreed. Okay. What about yourself? Have you been watching anything exciting this week?
Well, this is kind of news. I just now thought of this. I was reminded it's kind of news, and it's kind of what I'm going to be watching. I want to
Hmm.
do a shout out to our buddies over at the Sith List for their episode 400. We'll be watching that
Oh yes.
tonight. Congratulations! Keep up the good work, and all that. But yeah, so that's one thing. I've been watching Shogun, which I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but that show's really good. Um, X-Men '97. It's I'm really enjoying it.
Hmm.
It is like a direct continuation of the old series. Kind of almost comically so, where like I know I shared that recap video, which really helped me remember a lot of stuff that had happened. But it's kind of funny how it is just a direct continuation of a lot of that stuff.
Mm.
I'm hoping it gets into more of the long, like I like when they do like long running threads of stories, and not kind of the flavor of the week kind of things. I know a lot of it's character building. I'm not against it, but I'm hoping we get into more of that like long running stuff. But I know it's only episode 4, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
we gotta do some character building. We got to build some people up, move their character arcs from where they left off in the original to do new things. But they're definitely throwing a lot at you each week. And if you're a fan of the X-Men, I think I'm enjoying it. So that's cool.
I was going to say, I'm hearing more and more people talk. I mean, I know that King Tom in particular has been, wax lyrical about the way that they've executed this. He's really enjoying it. But I'm hearing more and more people that aren't particularly au fait, like myself, with X Men that are really really enjoying it as well. Which is, that's good news. That's really good news.
It's definitely one of those. It's definitely a little bit different than maybe some of the things that people are used to because
Hmm.
they 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 don't really waste any time. It's almost
Right.
more like a kid's show where it's like, oh no, this is gonna get wrapped up like
Yeah, yeah,
today.
yeah.
There is some like behind the scenes longer running threads, but a lot of the times you'll be like, here's the problem and the problem solved. Kind of not as not so much moral of the week kind of thing for kids shows, but there is a lot of like introduction of a problem and then the problem is kind of solved. So there's definitely a lot of things going on and a lot of uh, introductions and resolutions. The first 2 episodes I think were really really probably the most exciting for me. I do enjoy
Mm.
all the others, but I'm hoping we get to more of that. Uh, Eventually get to more of that long running stuff too. I'm excited for it. Um, the other the other show that we started watching recently. So there's a funny story behind it. Well, one, I'm going to take this opportunity since it'll be after the fact next time we record, wishing Madison a happy birthday next week.
Oh,
And so there's that.
will she
The
listen to this?
Yeah, she will listen to this. Yes,
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Madison. Happy birthday to you for next week.
she hates that air horn, so I had to get that in there.
Excellent.
uh, so it's kind of a funny story. She came down to like one evening and was like, "Hey, we should watch the show Atlanta." And I'm like, "Okay." Like I'm always up for watching shows and whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, but I'm sure you're familiar with the scenario. It's like whenever there's like that kind of statement said to you, it's like, why? Like why do we need to watch it? What is the reason?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I mean, I heard some good things about it. It's like, okay, but what's like I'm okay with doing this. I'm just trying to understand. And then it comes out, it's like, well, I read online that there is an episode that is like emulating or kind of about kind of a fake scenario about the creation of a Goofy movie. And I'm like, okay, that's funny. Like, and like the Goofy movie is probably one of her favorite movies, if not her favorite.
Right.
Um, And so we start watching it. We're like 4 episodes in, and she's like, "What episode is that?" And so we look it up, and it's like, "Oh, it's like the third to last episode of the entire series in set and season 4." It's like, great, not awesome. And she's like, "Oh, I thought there was no, I didn't know there was that many." But all that to say,
But
we're
had
watching
you sorry,
Atlanta.
have you not watched it before?
I've never watched Atlanta, no,
Oh, wow, okay, okay. I
but it's good.
I love it. I
We're
love it.
enjoying it. We're
Yeah, yeah,
enjoying
yeah.
it.
And
Uh, I
it gets season one's really grounded. It's really, really
mhm,
grounded. It's about, it's really, really grounded, and there are one or two moments of batshit surreal stuff going on, but it's mostly grounded. And then as the
mhm,
series goes on, as the seasons go on, um, it starts getting little bit more out there. He honestly, that guy, he's such a good creator.
mhm.
Yeah, I love Atlanta. I think you're gonna have some fun.
Yeah,
I'm quite jealous, actually.
we're enjoying it. Like, I think we're maybe 6 episodes in.
Yeah.
So we've had a couple of the meta surreal episodes, and Madison's just kind of like looking at me like, "What the hell is going on?" And it's like, I'm like, "This is it. This is what we're in for. We're in for four seasons of this. This is awesome. I love it." But yeah, we're really enjoying it. So that's
Good.
it's kind of a nice mix at the in the evening time. And so this isn't something I just thought of this. This isn't something I'm watching. It's something I'm actually reading. Um, I've been trying to get Madison's been reading a lot, and I've been kind of like getting back into reading too, which is really funny because I have 1.5 million Star Wars books to catch up on, but for some reason I just can't like bring myself to like get engaged in them. But
Mm,
I did start reading this book. I think it's called Mythos. It's kind of about Greek mythology and things like
mm,
that. I don't know where it came from. I don't know how it got on my Kindle. I looked on Amazon. It says I bought it, but it says I bought it for like $1. I don't know how I got
mm.
it. I don't. I genuinely have no. I don't remember buying this book at all, but I saw it on there. I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And I've just been reading it. It's like kind of a more approachable, like deep history of like the Greek gods and like how they all work and things like that. And I'm finding it very interesting because it's kind of like I'm sure people who are like who know this kind of stuff are looking at me like you're an idiot. It's always been that way, but like it's funny to me how much of the shows and the things that we love, like the character names of stuff are so on the
Yeah.
nose when it comes to like Greek mythology, Roman mythology, like just stuff like that. And so it's kind of funny to kind of get that deeper backstory. Like I've always known it, but I've never known like the actual lore of where Athena came from and like, oh,
Mhm.
Prometheus giving humans the fire and creating them out of the clay and yada blah 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 blah. Like maybe I learned it in 5th grade, but I was in 5th grade probably playing Pokemon on a Game Boy and not remembering any
Yeah.
of it. And so it's kind of nice to be able to like read it as an adult and go,
Yeah.
cool, that's interesting and kind of seeing those themes. But yeah, so I've been doing that and it's really I'm enjoying it.
That's really cool. That's really cool. And I understand. I totally get, going back to your first point, the hurdle or the effort it's going to take to re-engage on Star Wars novels, on the written stuff. It's going to be. I'm with you. I'm 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 looking at that hill and I'm thinking, God, this is going to be steep, because once you've done y- this amount, you're going to have to do, then move on to the High Republic, and then when you go to the High Republic, you're going to have to. There's a lot to get through, and I'm with you, man. Because you'd have to do them in order to have context. It would have to make sense to make sure that you get the connective tissue in the narrative, and sometimes just picking up something completely different that's a one and done. Um, some a one and done exercise. It's somewhat easier sometimes, but I'm with you. And I'm sure when the summer's here actually, and we start spending some time as a family together on the beach somewhere, I'm sure I'll re-engage at that point and be at the right frame of mind. But I'm not in that mindset at the moment. Um,
Mhm.
it seems like a massive, massive mountain to climb at the moment. But no, that's
Yeah.
cool. Cool. And there's nothing wrong with a bit of, with a bit of mythos, bit of culture, you know, getting polishing up on your classics. That's good.
The only takeaway I have from it that is kind of intriguing to me, because normally things are so very on the nose of like where names come from, etc. Like, oh,
Yeah.
Thanos. It's like, oh, I wonder where that came from. But the one that trips me up is like, not to make it about Star Wars again, but like, why why is Hera Syndulla named Hera? Like, that just seems very not her. Like, I mean, people can be named whatever the hell they want, but it just seems like with a franchise that is so rooted in like, hey, this is
Mythology.
Hemlock. I wonder why his
Yeah,
name is
yeah.
Hemlock. Like things like that. It's like Hera seems like a very odd choice of a name when it's the exact same name as somebody that she has zero in common with. But
Mm.
that's not here nor there. Maybe not. I don't know. But that's all I've been watching and listening to and etc.
No, that's good. Tell you
Easy
what,
this week. Easy.
well, I was going to say that. So that seems like a heck of a lot for such as what seemed like a fleeting week, and I'm missing an awful lot. So this week we have to talk about two um, Bad Batch episodes. We caught this morning Identity Crisis and The Point of No Return. Um, Initial thoughts, buddy? All up on both of them.
Initial thoughts. Um, I really I okay. I'll break them into individuals first. Identity
Okay.
Crisis. I really enjoyed this episode.
Hmm.
I almost feel bad that there were two episodes in the same week, because I feel like the second one is so there's so much happening that it almost
Mm.
makes you not appreciate how good Identity Crisis was. Um, the Emery as a character to me is very interesting. I thought we got some really good stuff.
Hmm.
Um, I think for a long time people thought she was bad, but it seems more like she just didn't know what the heck was going on. She was not
Hmm.
included in that stuff. Hemlock was interesting. The medical droids remind me a lot of Otto from Wally, like the
Yeah.
steering wheel, like with the sounds
Yeah.
and stuff they made. Seeing Tarkin was cool. Uh, Cad Bane is an asshole, just flat
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Um, the Republic Commandos helmets are still too big. That was a thought. And the thing I really liked about the Identity Crisis episode was this show, the Bad Batch as a whole, for me, has single-handedly emphasized the evil of the Empire more than any
Yeah.
other. Like,
Yeah.
it's not even about war like a lot of the others. It's like, no, this is just it's just evil. It's not like, oh, the good guys are losing to the bad guys or vice versa and like a war thing. It's like, no, they're bad. Like, they're bad.
Mm.
They're doing not great things, and it's really kind of coming across in
Mm.
this show quite a bit. And so Identity Crisis I really enjoyed. Uh Not a lot of thoughts on Point of No Return. I enjoyed it. Um, the I was obsessed with the very beginning with when Fee was there. And her like barrel droid. I don't know if it was like a barrely gonk or whatever it was, but I was
I knew
obsessed with
you'd
the
like that.
design.
It's a spherical gonk, and I knew you'd pick up on that. I knew
the
you'd pick
the
up on
inner
it.
barrel, it
Yeah.
moves independently and it jostles when he walks. I'm like, I could not. I rewound it and watched it. I'm like, they made it when he
Yeah.
walks, the inner barrel
Yeah.
jostles with it. I'm like, that's freaking awesome.
The
Um,
first people I thought of was you and Chris Hall. As soon as I saw it. Yeah.
the second thought is along those same lines is with the assassin. I finally figured out what his helmet looks like. It looks like somebody dry brushed it, in like, but then just made it a cartoon. It's like, oh, we're gonna spray paint it black and then just take a brush and dry brush the edges, so all the edges are like accented in a weird way. I'm like, there it is. That's cool. I had a couple other notes. One, I thought I was cool by catching that the clone boys were getting ice cream. It's like, oh, hey, cool, they're doing well, only for them to later
Yeah,
show
yeah,
up
yeah,
again in the episode. It's like, oh, okay,
yeah.
that's whatever. The other one was, for the love of God, somebody please put a sensor in that damn cave because people keep sneaking in, and like just put something in there. Put a camera. Put like a ring doorbell
A
in that
door.
cave because clearly it's a problem. And the other one was uh similar to, so as you know, I'm a fan of the Micro Galaxy Squadron ships.
Yeah.
Um, I have been tempted to get the Bad Batch ship because it comes with a little Wrecker and a little Omega, and I think it's cool. But you know what? I'm glad I didn't buy it because this damn thing blew up this week, and I'm not about to get freaking Mandalorian by buying all these damn ships that keep getting blown up. So, I won't be fooled again. I didn't buy it, and now it's gone, and I'm glad. So there's that, and then Omega got captured, and I'm trying not to overthink the meditation split second at the end. I'm trying not, because this happened when she was on the ship and she started doing like the breathing, like
Yeah.
meditation thing. I'm like, I'm not reading into this. I'm not gonna do it.
No.
I'm not gonna do it. It's not gonna happen. Because
No.
I'm over. Other than that,
No.
I really enjoyed them. What are your thoughts?
So, like you, I really enjoyed Identity Crisis, and it reminded me, it had the similar kind of tone. There wasn't any, big whiz bang wallop, shooty, fighties going on. It was a very considered, very measured, very slow, purposely slow
Mhm.
episode. Reminded me an awful lot of the season, the premiere, the opening episode where we saw the
Yeah.
passage of time with Amiga in prison. And I think that's where really in all of Star Wars TV that I've seen, um, typically my favorite episodes come from those
Mhm.
kind of episodes, which have an awful lot of character development, and they give you an awful lot of there's an awful lot of on the palate to be able to enjoy, and to savor. Like I said,
Mhm.
like a like a nicely aged wine and some nice cheese. It's really good on the palate. Um, Similar episodes I found in Andor, for example, when they spent the time um, pretty exclusively in Coruscant without Andor. Andor didn't appear in the entire episode.
Mhm.
Season 3 of The Mandalorian. I did not enjoy season 3 of The Mandalorian. I did enjoy the single episode that we saw with Dr. Pershing on Coruscant,
Mhm.
which again was exclusively about his story and his development. I thought it was a really good piece of work. Um, so I enjoyed that kind of those kind of episodes because it's nice to have a little respite in in the um, the excitement that's going on without it being a filler because it's so rich, full of content. Some notes I made of that particular episode: the alien guy, the neighbor, sold the kid out to the bounty hunters. Um, they talked about Project Necromancer. Um, we found out that 4 sensitive children are in the vault, and they are essentially the crux of of Necromancer. However, we got clarification on Omega, which I found really interesting, and it's
Yeah.
still not 100% confirmed, but it seems to be that the kids there um, are to provide the midichlorians, but they need Omega as being the bonding agent to introduce those midichlorians to a foreign body. That
Mhm.
seems to be, which I think we guessed quite a few episodes ago, that would be the case. Is it her midichlorians? I mean, she still may well have a lot of, she still may be able to develop force capabilities and the rest of it, but that's not the reason why they're after her because they've already got kids with a lot of midichlorians, etc. It's the fact that if you were to clone someone with midichlorians, those midichlorians wouldn't transfer to the clone or wouldn't be active in the clone. They'd die off, except
Mhm.
in Omega's blood. And that's the point, is that she's got that. I think he used the word bonding
Yeah, the bonding, yeah.
yeah, which is I think, and I think a couple of episodes ago I said something like she's a socket. She's the socket, or the catalyst, if you like, to make,
Yeah.
sample A and B connect together, and be successful. So, I hope that gets her off the hook, from being force sensitive. But, Filoni and others like their force sensitive people. They like their busy galaxy. So, she may well still be force sensitive, but I did like the explanation. It kind of was akin to what we were talking about. Um, I could hear it was Cad Bane before we saw it was Cad Bane. The Spurs
Mhm.
were a dead giveaway at the door. Um, Emery, I really liked. Like most people, I thought she was a bad one at the very, very beginning, and I thought, I didn't really understand her motivation. But what came out of this episode was her motivation was literally ambition, blind ambition. Unfortunately, to your point, she had no idea what was going on, and it literally was ambition. And she clearly
There
haven't.
was a comment she made in there that I totally forgot about. Did you catch up on it when she was talking to Nala Say? Like, I can't remember the exact phrase, but it made it seem like, "Oh, are you going to abandon them like you basically did with me?" Like there was a phrase that she used when she was talking to her that made it seem like she has some resentment with the life that she's led. Like
I
like
don't
she's
know.
upset these kids are captured here and they need to go home. It's almost as if because there was one of the first things she said that I'll say when she came in was talk about those kids. It almost slipped by and I was like, wait a minute. And I rewound it a second and I was like, she made some comments about like, oh, like, are we just gonna like, are you going to abandon them too? And it's like, oh, does Emery feel like she's been trapped here and now she's just
Well,
conditioned
the point,
to be this
uh,
way?
I don't know, mate, but clearly, I mean, she's clearly of the same template as Omega, hence the reason why
Mhm.
she considers her a sister, and yet she doesn't have the same blood stuff or the blood makeup that Omega has. And I, I'm guessing, otherwise she'd be on a operating table herself, or she'd be on she'll be in a testing chamber herself and being pulled around, and they wouldn't need Omega,
Mhm.
if Emery had the same kind of makeup. So all I can think of, you could be right. It could be a a memory or an experience you had as a kid, or it may well be something as recent as, well, I'm no good to you. You saved Omega. You saved Omega. You
Mhm.
went out of your way, and you risked your life for Omega, but you didn't for me, and you did, and you're not for these kids either. Bec and it may well be as simple as that, but then again, I didn't pick up on what you're talking about, so I'll have to rewatch it. But it is interesting. I mean, there's some history there. I mean, it was clearly. I mean, when she was talking to Hemlock, she clearly was, very very ambitious, and she kind of forced his hand to hire her, right,
Mhm.
in that chief scientist role. Um, but throughout the episode, you can clearly see this. She's contemplating, what the hell have I done here, and is my ambition. Am I having second thoughts on my ambition, because it's
Mhm.
ambition for ambition's sake is dangerous. Is dangerous, especially when you've got people's lives at risk here. Um, Found it interesting. Great seeing Tarkin. Found it really interesting that he was kept out of the loop. That's hilarious. That is
Mhm.
absolutely hilarious. I love that. I love the fact that despite how powerful and how influential Tarkin is, and essentially, if you consider Vader as Palpatine's right hand man, Tarkin is his left hand man, that he's kept out of the loop of this. That's brilliant, absolutely fantastic. That that he would not be aware of Palpatine's aspirations towards cloning himself. Um,
It's funny. It's funny because it
we
just shows you how like toxic the Empire really is. Like not only with Rogue One, with like uh, Mendelsohn and all the stuff he's doing.
yeah.
It's like how compartmentalized and toxic and dog eat dog everything is in the
Oh, it's
Empire.
classic. Oh, it's
And
classic. It's
it's
a classic.
hilarious.
Yeah, it's classic Caesarian management style. I mean, Julius Caesar, very very
Mm,
famous. I mean, they talk about in business. They talk about Caesar's management style, which is basically divide and conquer. So basically, all of his top lieutenants and generals, he would have them playing off each other. He'd show favor to one over another at a certain point, and vice versa, and then basically have them fighting amongst himself, because
mhm.
ultimately it meant that only he was in control at any one time, because they were too busy fighting amongst themselves and gaining favor with him that ultimately he was always in total control, because unfortunately that was his comeuppance when his generals got together and plotted against him. But yeah, it's very, very typical. Very, very typical. I mean, it's classic. The Empire, the Imperial Empire, or sorry, the Imperial, the Galactic Empire is classic. It's classic, straight out of the history of Rome. It's
It did make me laugh
yeah, very much so.
when it did make me laugh when Tarkin was on the screen for a minute. I was like, dude, how funny would it be if the end of this show was just the Death Star strolling up and just blowing Tantus off the map, and that's the only
what
resolution. And he's like, ah, I'm done with you guys, and it's like the end. It's like that is not
what made me
closure
laugh?
on any of it.
Yeah, exactly. But what made me laugh, and I've written it down here in these notes, is what made me laugh is that Tarkin's like, well, I'm still in control, and I'll show you. He didn't say it, but he was kind of you could see he was really miffed that he wasn't allowed to be told what was going on. And he said something along the lines of, "Well, you better make sure that the experiments come out well." It's like, but you don't even know what it is. It may well be, I don't know, making a paper airplane.
I think
I'm
that's some
like,
foreshadowing, if you want my
you
opinion.
got you got
I think
no
we haven't seen the
idea.
last of him.
No, I
I
wouldn't be
think it's not the
surprised.
last we've seen of Tarkin. So
But the point being is that the fact that he's threatening him, saying it'll be on you if you fail. It's like, well, you don't even know what he's doing, so how will you know what he's failing about? Anyway, that was funny. They mentioned Sid. They didn't show Sid, but she's dropped him in it again. They interrogated Sid, the Trandoshan. Um, and she's thrown him away. And then obviously, what was nice and another reflection on episode one was Emery sharing Omega's Tuka doll with the young force sensitive child. Um, Point of no return. And I'm not joking when I write it's almost like we're thinking the same thing. And I've written them down again in order. Fee's power droid. I bet Sean loves it in brackets.
I do.
Um, Shadow finds the community by cleverly um, rigging or getting the coordinates from Fee's ship. It was nice to see the clone kids thriving on the island, despite how short-lived that was when the Empire turned up. It was nice to see them thriving, enjoying themselves, and not in uniform or going through any training routines. Text goggles when they were left at the altar of, I don't know what it was, contemplation, or wherever they leave their keepsakes to be remembered. That was nice, and it tugged at the heartstrings a little bit. Um, and then I got two questions. Why did the shadow agent, or the, I think it's called the CX agent, or whatever they're called, the spy trooper, why did he engage the cloak on his ship so late? So if you remember, I mean, luckily he wasn't
Yeah.
caught out. But you remember that the Bad Batch's ship picked up the Shadow Troopers' ship on their radar until he switched on their cloaks. Like, well, why would you wait until you're 100 yards away from the island to actually switch it on in the first place? Which is nitpicky, but it bugged me. And then the second one was here is he parks in the same cave as Asajj. Why haven't they put any doors on that cave by now? Um, and then my next comment, again, I was thinking of you, was another merch line dies, but I'm sure another one will be born. Look, I'm not kidding. another merch line dies, I'm sure another one will be born. In reference to the ship being blown up. Um, the Shadow sacrifices the pilot, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
In order to try and take out Hunter. Omega hands herself in, and oh yeah, Crosshair missed. The last comment I made was Crosshair missed, which was disappointing. Which begs the question: how on earth are they going to find her?
Emery. That's my guess.
Yeah, I think you could be right. I thought for a minute you were going to suggest that maybe Omega was going into a Jedi trance at the end of the episode on the ship and was going to communicate
It,
telepathically with Asajj. That
it
would
started.
that would that would not be cool.
I just like let it. Just let him be. Like let to your point a little bit ago about like the slowness of the identity crisis episode and why those are so enjoyable. I think for me, it's a lot of times it just gives you insight into like that not everybody is black and white or like purely good and purely evil. And like,
Mm.
and to me, that's more interesting. It's like it gives you more nuance of like, I'm a good guy. I go do good things because that's the good thing to do. It's like there's nobody in the world who does that in real
Mm.
life. And to show that people are complicated. And also along the same lines, it's like there can be heroes that aren't naturally gifted with the force.
Well, you
And
lose
I'm hoping it stays that way.
you lose your you lose your connect. If you think about what Omega is, and Omega is an amazing role model for young
Mhm.
women and for young girls. And as soon as you turn the strength that she has and the abilities that she has into something that's fantastical that is associated with the Force, that's cool, but it suddenly becomes a little bit less relatable. Do you understand what I
Yeah.
mean? And it also
Yeah. 100%.
and it almost somewhat compromises the achievements that she's made so far because it can be put down to an ability, you know, an unnatural ability that Jedi have, and I think that this is one of the reasons why this is one of the reasons why I liked the original idea that in the Last Jedi that it was Ray from nowhere,
Mhm.
no parents, anyone can be a Jedi, anyone can be it doesn't have to be part of a bloodline or uh, um, an inherited bunch of attributes,
The
and
force.
again, but it's still the force, and
Yeah.
again, to even greater extreme with Omega. Not only does it not have to be about your parents, it doesn't have to be about this mystical
Yeah.
energy field that surrounds us and binds us and everything. It's about her strength of character, her strength of conviction, her loyalty to her friends, her loyalty to her family, her compassion towards other sentient life forms, her compassion towards non-sentient life forms. It's her character, her strength of character, which I really, really hope that is the piece that shines through, and not a case of oh wow, she aligned herself with animals because she was strong with the Force, like Ezra. Oh
Yeah.
well, she was able to sense the feelings within this particular individual and what they were going through because they had force sensitivity and compassion, like and empathic force abilities like Leia, and so on and so forth. It's like no, it doesn't need that because, like I said, that would somewhat take away from everything that she'd achieved in my mind, in my humble opinion.
Well,
So I hope
the
not.
force feels a lot like nepotism. It's like you
Yeah,
as as soon
yeah.
as soon as you find out that's like, oh, Omega has the force. It's like
She must be a
no
Skywalker.
matter no matter what her accomplishments are, even if some of them are warranted and earned, it will
Yeah.
always be dismissed. It can always be dismissed by like, oh, you have the force. You have an unfair
Yeah,
advantage.
exactly.
You have
Exactly.
oh, those things went well for you because you used the force and you manipulated people with your magic. And it's like, and that to me, like just like you said, it dismisses the entire power of her character. It's like, just let it just let her be a strong individual who is
Yeah.
extremely empathetic, and
Mm.
prove that you can be a normie and make a difference and
Yeah.
truly make a difference. You don't have to be imbued with this luck of the draw, force nepotism that says
And it
like, "Hey, start
and
on
it
third base."
exactly, and in many, many ways, you're better than people that can wield the Force because it comes naturally to you. Yeah, no, no, yeah, I really hope so because, it's a bloody cartoon, but I can't believe how much of a vested interest I've got in it. It's quite funny. So what do you think's so that's taken us to episode 11, so we're on the last stretch now, we've got 4 left.
I think
Give me your
Hunter is going to be pissed. He is going to be, well, one, we didn't even talk about Wrecker. Dude, Wrecker got wrecked. At first, I
Yeah,
was like, "Is he dead? Is he dead?" Like, I thought he got
yeah,
away.
yeah,
And there's other couple other funny tidbits that I thought happened in this show. It's like when I thought in my head when they were when Crosshair and Omega and Batcher were kind of on the run and sneaking away. I had a thought in my head. I'm laughing. I'm like, I bet the animators are like pissed. They're like, can't we make Batcher go somewhere else? We have to keep animating this dog following along. And then all of a sudden they're like, then next thing you know, Batcher's just gone. They're like, okay, cool. We don't have to animate Batcher anymore. I'm
yeah,
like, oh,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
almost, it's kind of funny. It's like, Batcher, leave. You're like, you're costing us money to animate you when you're just not really providing anything. So, okay, leave
yeah,
and then show up on the beach later. I thought that was kind of funny. Um, but no, I thought at first I thought it was kind of goofy. I'm like, okay, Hunter's getting the ship, and then it spirals out, and then looks through the binoculars. It's like, okay, Hunter's fine. I'm like, this is all so weird. But then it kind of made sense. It's like, oh, Hunter was off doing something else, and this is going to create a conflict because Hunter's going to be big mad when he comes back and comes up on Crosshair, and Crosshair's like, yeah, she wanted to turn herself in, and Hunter's going to not be thrilled with the way
yeah,
that went down.
yeah.
Um, which I don't think there's a lot of time left for a conflict between the two of them, um, especially with like what's the current status of Hunter, um, or Wrecker. I mean, sorry, not Hunter, Wrecker. Um, it'll be interesting to see like what transpires next. It's like, okay, so they need to find out where Tantus is.
Mm.
Like, is that Emery's sole goal? Is like she's gonna, because I don't see Emery making it out of this personally. Like, I think if there's anybody on the sacrificing table, it's it's for sure her in my mind, of like, okay, somehow they have to find out where Tantus is, and then they have to do the strike on Tantus. It can't be at the same time.
I don't think they
Who
would
ha
I don't think they would have dedicated an entire episode to her if she was just going to be uh, a nasty imperial bastard. I can't believe they would have spent that time developing her and showing her empathy and showing her fragility in the first of
Mhm.
these 2 episodes. I think you're absolutely spot on. I think you're right there.
On that Identity Crisis episode, it almost slipped by. Excuse me. So it does seem like there's multiple projects going on at that facility, and I wanted to get your thoughts
Mhm.
on it. So there's definitely like the normal side. There's the vault side of things and Project Necromancer, but there's also like, I tried to look at the screen like at the very beginning when Hemlock was like looking at his little pad, and he mentioned like the others aren't going to be ready when he was talking to the assassin. Like, what do you think he has a strike force that he's working on that isn't ready? Like, and is that what's
Did you see
inside that
the
like
did you
thing?
did you see the difference between the 2 masks that he flipped through
Yes, I did, but I
on the
couldn't
on the on the
peg
on the
what it
data pad?
was.
No, neither could I. Um, I think what's going to happen is I wouldn't be surprised if this again, you know, connective tissue, connective tissue, connective tissue. I wouldn't be surprised if this somehow finds its way to the Dark Trooper program that we
Mhm.
saw reinvented in Mandalorian season 2, 3, sorry. Well, no, 2. Season 2,
Where they became the robots. They're like the
and
human,
3. Yeah,
the
so
human
going back to the
versions don't work, so I made robots.
I mean, if you go back to the original game, the Dark Forces game, um, which the Dark Troopers were based on. So
Mhm.
the Dark Troopers in the Mandalorian season 2 were based on a concept, or sorry, based on the third iteration. I think it's the third iteration of an evolving enemy in Dark Forces, and it starts off with a very part machine, part human, or part sentient um, cyborg, and
Mhm.
then it goes, and then it gets, and then more and more of the flesh is removed through the 3 iterations of the Dark Forces, sorry, the Dark Trooper program, until number 3, which is basically what you get in in Mandalorian season 2. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is the start of that program. Um,
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised at all. Again, it will fit really nicely as well. You know, you've got conversations going on at the moment. You know, what happened to the? How did Palpatine return? Um, we're dealing with that with Project Necromancer. You've also got the Gideon piece as well, which we all thought was going to lead to the Palpatine bit, but didn't. But it did evolve from the Dark Trooper stuff from from season 2. So you've got those 2 parallels, of which the origins start in Bad Batch, which I think is kind of cool. Um,
yeah.
and I think there's some traction there, and there's certainly some development stuff. I mean, I mean, again, this could all tie in later on as well. If you think about Tantis, Tantis was also was also the place where the laboratory was in the original Heir to the Empire book, I believe. In which case, and it was it was still kept secret after the Galactic Civil War. So what I'm trying to say is that, in a very very bad way as usual, is that if Hemlock is starting Project Necromancer and the Dark Trooper program, both of which need to survive the Galactic Civil War, because we have Rise of Skywalker and we have the Mandalorian TV series where we see all that
Mhm.
stuff coming to fruition. There's no better place than Mount Tantis. And then, because it lends itself to the Heir to the Empire novel, i.e., Thrawn, can we see some sort of involvement or influence from season 2 of Ahsoka, for example? I don't know. I mean, at some
I
point,
think you are spot on with if you look at the parallels.
yeah,
If you even take the program, there's the Project Necromancer program, which is about Palpatine, and we've seen that from end to end. We've seen it from here all the way to the culmination of Palpatine returning and getting destroyed by
yeah,
Rey. I think what they've done, I could easily see this being the beginning of the other half, which is maybe the Dark Trooper arc, and this is the beginning, like, or the clones are technically the beginning, and then it comes to this, comes the next step with Gideon. And I
yeah,
do think, I wonder if the culmination of this is going to be the movie, the Mandalorian universe culmination Thrawn arc movie, uh, where that's the end, where we see the final masterpiece of the Dark Troopers, or whatever you want to call them, where it's clones, where it's machines. Now maybe we're going to mix a little Night Sister magic in there, and it's just going to be this absolute monstrosity of a fighting force with obvious weaknesses and things like that here and the other. But it's 2 parallel lines of evil, where it's not a single individual. It's a multitude of individuals who are working through a program and building slowly over time until Thrawn is the culminating force of that, wielding this force of dark Death Trooper mixed with
Yeah.
Night Sisters and machines and whatever. And so you just kind of
And
got
that
this,
will,
like, for lack of a better term, bastard force of evil coming through.
yeah. And that will, of course, no, I think that's beautiful. I really do, because that will, of course, and I know we keep saying not everything needs to be connected, but the fact that there's a plan there, even the possibility of a plan, because there may not be a plan, but the possibility of a plan, the fact that we can speculate there's a plan there is a beautiful thing. Because if you think about it, that will tie up essentially Bad Batch. Um, it will tie up Mandalorian, potentially Ahsoka as well, into this very, very linear, exciting timeline.
Mhm.
And then I keep thinking, well, what else have we had as well that potentially could fit into this as well? And I think about the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. The Obi-Wan Kenobi series happens after this. And of course,
Mhm.
you've got Echo and Rex out there at the moment saving clones, which I am sure they'll be called on to support the Bad Batch in their raid or their rescue attempts on Tantis. And so does that mean that, as well as the other seasons, sorry, as well as the other series that I've talked about earlier on, um, does this also mean that Kenobi can also be tied into this as well? Because essentially, this is also the origins of the hidden path as well. You've got children, force sensitive children that need to be saved from Tantis. You've got Rex and Echo, as I said, that are saving clones at the moment. You'll have this culmination event essentially on Tantis. Um, could the could this be the beginning of the hidden path that
Well,
that
and
that
could
was
it?
created to save? So 10 years later, when we meet up with Kenobi, when he's trying to track down and save Leia, he comes across the hidden path. Um, I mean, can we see this as being the origins of that underground movement?
Well, let's take it a little bit further and boil off some of the water in our Kool Aid and say, take it to the next level. Could this be also tying in the Jedi Survivor show? Could
Mhm.
the path and the things like this not just be saving force sensitive kids out in the middle of no man's land, but could we also be accumulating like, could this give clones a purpose of
Yeah,
going out there, and we have this giant collection of people who are maybe hiding from the empire, culminating in a giant good versus evil battle with Thrawn in the end, which it was funny because it almost takes the Skywalker saga and makes it more of a family problem. It's like, yeah, there's that really big good and big bad family problem going on over here, but over a
mm,
bigger stretch of time, there's this individual low level people kind of fight brewing
mm,
with this kind of distorted evil dark trooper amalgamation of just nasty bits, and then there's force sensitive kids and like all these freaking force users who are still alive. Where are they? Everybody's like, oh, they weren't helping with Darth Vader and whatever. Well, it's because they're off with the clones, and the people who still want to believe in the fight, they're off wherever with the Jedi Survivor
yeah,
people, Cal Kestis. But then they all come in at the end against this bigger force. Like, how does Skeleton Crew tie in? How does Kenobi tie in? How
yeah.
does uh Jedi Survivor stuff tie in? Like, could we just see this amazing epic battle in the end of all of this?
Because Cal, at the end of Jedi Survivor, Cal's the one that actually creates the hidden path, isn't he? He's the architect of the hidden path.
He's the
So
one who knows how to get to the hidden place,
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
planet.
So my point being is, the last episode is called "The Cavalry Has Arrived" or whatever it is. The cavalry is here or whatever. Or, I can't remember what the last episode's called. Saved by the Cavalry or something along those lines. Anyway, now in my brain, in my stupid brain, I've been thinking up until now. Well, that's clearly what's going to happen. Is the boys are going to go out there? They're gonna try a rescue attempt. They're gonna make a complete arse of the whole situation. They're going to fall over themselves, ham-fisted, end up in hijinks. Maybe with the threat of death, and then Rex, Echo, and the remainder uh, the clone refugees are going to come in, swoop in on gunships and save them, and everyone's happy. What if the cavalry, the proverbial cavalry, isn't Rex and Echo, and it's Cal Kestis?
That'd be awesome. I almost fear it's going to be the flip because I think that would be an amazing ass whooping kind of
And then to your point,
culmination.
and then sorry to interrupt, but to your point, back to the Scruffies a couple of weeks back, where you saying, "I hope this is the ending of the clone story, so that we can actually move on to something else." The closing elements of the clone story is that Cal takes them, all the clones, and all the nice people on the island planet, which name I keep forgetting, and taking them to this hidden planet where no one can find them, and they all live happily ever after.
I think I think that'd be awesome. I think what I think will happen is I think with the introduction of Tarkin this week, here's my prediction is that it'll go similar. It'd be cool. I mean, I don't think Cal and that group will come in and whoop ass. I
Yeah,
think the Bad Batch and stuff will help all the clones leave and cause enough of a problem that Tarkin is going to come in and be like, "You've made a big mess. This isn't worth it." And then he's going to be the nail in that coffin of like, it's almost a dog eat dog nature of it. It's like the Empire
yeah, I'm
destroying
with
the
you.
Empire. But then all that group who left, maybe that's when they'll link up and be like, "Hey, we have somewhere, like, where are we all going to go? We can't go to that planet because it's already been compromised." And then somebody's going to come and be like, we actually have an idea." And then in through the doorway, like a CG Leia, and be like, "I have hope. It's me, Cal Kestis. Like, I can get us all to somewhere safe." Fade to black, sick, awesome. It's like cool. Then they all go wherever, and they put him in the reserve container until the Thrawn movie comes, and then that's when they all
Oh
come. The
shit,
real cavalry comes back, and shit really hits the fan.
got it.
Which is funny because I would have never liked this idea. Like if you would have asked me a year ago, I'd have been like, I wouldn't have been outright against it. But I think there's an element of like the Skywalker saga it's not sacred, but it's like it has importance and it's heavy and it has weight and merit and it's important. But the way this is kind of unfolding, especially in my own head, because I have the best ideas in my own opinion. Uh, but it's like it makes them separate. It's like it's still important because this is the big bad big evil plot, and then there's this other one where it's maybe satisfying that itch that I wish we would have gotten in the Rise of Skywalker, where it's the everyday people, it's it's the masses, it's against a really big threat instead of it just
Yeah,
being individuals. So it's kind of
yeah,
like, ooh, I kind of like this.
yeah. By the way, if this does actually turn, I mean, like you, everything I wish for and I speculate on never actually happens,
Yeah.
and it's either better or tragically worse. Um, but if Cal Kestis does turn up on in episode 15, with BD1 on his shoulder, um, I'm going to do a lap of my village. I'm going to run around my village and do a lap of honor to myself for guessing that. I doubt it's going to happen, but I just pulled that out of
I'll
my
do it too.
ass.
I'll do it
What
too,
10,
and
10
I'll
minutes
record
ago?
it. I'll record it like Hey,
Yeah,
I'll get my phone
yeah,
and I'll
yeah,
run with my camera in front of my face the whole
yeah.
time.
I'll even have the Rocky soundtrack playing on loudspeaker on my phone as I'm doing it. Anyway, yeah, good stuff. Really, really good stuff. And I mean, the fact that we're speculating about a cartoon is crazy, absolutely crazy. It means that much to me. It's so bloody compelling. It really, really is. And I love every week the opportunity that when they pair Crosshair and Omega together, which they pretty much do every episode at the moment. I love that interaction more than any other, and I've always had a big soft spot for um for Wrecker and Omega's relationship, but Crosshair and Omega's relationship is something very, very different, very, very different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Hunter's not even necessary anymore. Like he's superfluous to the
Yeah,
interactions.
I don't want
But
to. I didn't want to. I mean, obviously he's held everyone together for what 2.5 seasons. Um, I don't want to be down on the guy, but yeah, you're right. You are right. I mean, he's been a real sulky Susan for the last couple of episodes. A little bit of jealousy, I think, with the
yeah,
relationship that Cross has got with uh, with her.
he's had
Probably
no growth.
overwhelming. No,
None.
he hasn't at all. No, he hasn't at all. Um, and and neither has. I mean, neither has Wrecker. But let's face it, Wrecker is not a particularly hard book to read. Um, but yeah, I'm really surprised. I'm really, really surprised he hasn't had much going on there at all. Which is a shame. But I'm so grateful for what we got from with Crosshair. It's great. And again, Hemlock, what an evil bastard. But I mean, played so beautifully. That voice, absolutely
He's gonna
insane.
I'm really excited. I know I can almost say with confidence he's gonna get his before the end of this show. And I'm here
Yeah,
for it. And I hope they do it justice. I don't even know who I want to be like the hand in which to give it to him. Cause I could list off or rattle off a list of people who I think would be great to like give him his comeuppance. But it's like, oh, I just hope it's satisfying. I hope it's not like he dies
I
in an explosion from Tarkin. I hope it's good.
no.
And
I hope that whoever does it, um, between you and I hope it's not a say.
same,
Um,
yeah,
after the pain, emotional pain that he has put her through, he's basically committed genocide on her on her home world.
yeah.
He's pretty much destroyed the species, um, amongst all the other damage that he did as well. Um, but I hope that I hope that when he gets his comeuppance, that it's from somebody very close to him, and he's looking directly into their eyes. There's
Mhm,
something about do you know what I mean? It's very personal. I hope
yeah.
that it's a very, very personal death or comeuppance that he gets, because that would be justice,
Look,
mate.
I'm here
It's
for
good
it. I'm looking
stuff,
forward
isn't
to
it?
it.
Yeah, yeah. It's gonna be kind of weird in 4 weeks not to have this to talk about, but we've got such a massive list of stuff that we do need to get through that I'm almost also a little bit relieved that we can actually start talking about the stuff that we want to move on to. So either way, I'm excited. I really am excited. And then how long have we got until have we got until Acolyte? Acolyte's June, is that right?
It is.
I know it's not May we've got nothing going on in May, which is bizarre to me. For May being such a
June.
big Star Wars month.
June 4. So we got a
Right,
month basically between the two.
right, right. Well, We better
And
hurry
that's
up
and the
and
first and there's two in the same day. Both for see episode 1 and 2 both come out on June 4th.
right, right.
So we only got 7 weeks of the Acolyte. Yeah, it's gonna come and go, gone. I can never keep track of the release dates, but then it's what Skeleton Crew at some point in time, then Andor season 2 at some point, and then
Yeah, some good stuff. Some good stuff on its way. Some very good stuff. And I am actually looking forward to Skeleton Crew because I think if
same.
they can capture the kind of if they can capture the same kind of, I mean, Jude Law, because it's Jude Law. But if they can capture the same kind of vibe as Goonies or Stranger Things in more recent years, that would be sick. That would be really really cool. I'd love a little romp like that. Nothing too stressful, nothing too um, um, enriched in canon and lore, which is going to get all of the fanboys stressed out because they haven't represented it properly. Something really low risk, just a really good romp um, with some
Well,
hijinks. It's going to be a
the
lot of
first
fun.
4 episodes are going to be low risk, but then the 5th episode is going to be like, surprise, it's connected. Here's here's Ezra, or here's Ahsoka and Sabine on a space whale magically popping up in the Skeleton Crew universe or wherever planet they're on.
Well, they're
Uh,
lost in space, aren't they? So they're gonna come across they're gonna come across a planet which is inhabited by turtle people, and just so happen to have two Jedi on there, one of which is a
and
Mandalorian.
and Shin Hati, baby, what's up? Let's
Yep, yep.
go.
Now, could we trouble you for a lift home? Yep, I can see it now. Right, my friend. Well, thank you very much again. We've done it again. Pulled that one out of the hat. Um, thank you for recording with me, mate.
Same. I always look forward to this, and then I'm always disappointed when it's over. It's like, dang, we've been talking for an hour and 40 minutes. It's like, and what are we going to talk about next week? I don't know. We'll find something to talk about. And it'll be
I,
worth it. I
I,
enjoy it every time.
I, be- I bet you will talk for another hour and 40 minutes. We always seem
I
to find a
genuinely thought
way.
I was like, oh, it's going to be a short one today. We're going to get like an hour, and it's like, nope,
No,
here we are.
no,
Something
no,
happened.
no. Sean, life finds a way. Have a
It
great week,
is.
my friend, and have a great week to all of our lovely listeners.
Same. Tell everybody have a good one out there. I know times are weird right now, but thank you for listening, and keep your head up. And Japan and Celebration are not too far away. They are, but not too far.
Cheers, guys. Stay safe, stay happy.
Bye.